Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're charting a course, heading down to the Antipodes. We're focusing specifically on New Zealand's pretty dynamic and, let's be honest, incredibly successful wine industry. And, just as importantly, we'll look at the best ways for you to explore its unique enoturism circuit.
Yeah, our deep dive today is really meant to be a shortcut for you. We're digging into the sources to figure out why New Zealand wine, especially that Sauvignon Blanc that just took over the world, and the increasingly famous Central Otago Pinot Noir, why it hit global icon status in, well, just a few decades, really.
It is an amazing story.
It is. We're looking at wines known everywhere for their, intense purity and freshness.
Yeah, it's a great question. How does a relatively young wine region, historically speaking, manage to just sort of instantly set the global standard for certain grapes? It seems like the core paradox isn't so much technique, but maybe geography.
Exactly. To really unpack this success story, you absolutely have to start with the terroir of the Antipodes, as you put it.
Right.
That's the essential starting point. The first, and probably the most critical factor, is the cool maritime climate. New Zealand is basically these long, narrow islands, right? And being so close to the cold ocean, it acts like a natural thermostat. It stops those wild temperature swings you might get further inland. So what you get is this long, cool, growing season.
Okay, and what's the key benefit of that slow ripening, chemically speaking?
Well, it's twofold, really. It's about preserving acidity and building up the aromatics. That slow, steady path to ripeness lets the grapes accumulate these really complex aromatic compounds. We often talk about thiols.
Ah, right. Those are the passionfruit lime notes.
Precisely. Those sulfur compounds that give you the passionfruit, guava, lime zest, that classic kiwi-savvy profile. But at the same time, the cool nights lock in that signature vibrant acidity, that sort of electric freshness.
Yeah.
That's the industry's calling card, you could say.
I did see something fascinating in the sources, though, that kind of takes it beyond just climate, the ozone factor. That seems like the real sort of unique element for New Zealand.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the geographic curveball, the real aha moment for NZ wine. Because of the country's position, particularly with the effects of the ozone layer hole, the vines get hit with genuinely intense UV radiation.
Right, sounds bad initially.
Well, yes, on its own it wouldn't be great, but it acts as this massive natural stressor on the vines.
Okay, so they're stressed by the UV light, and the vine's response is protective, thicker skins. How directly does that physical change translate into that, flavor explosion we taste?
It's a really direct link. Thicker skins are where the plant puts its defenses, the color pigments, the tannins, and crucially, the flavor precursors. So for red wines, you get more concentration, more depth. For whites like Sauvignon Blanc, it contributes directly to that aromatic explosion you mentioned.
Yeah.
Just the sheer intensity and persistence that makes the New Zealand style instantly recognizable pretty much anywhere in the world.
But it's not just the air and light, is it? We're talking about islands with incredible geological variety, too. What are the key soil types we should know about? The ones defining the regional styles?
Oh, it's definitely a geological mosaic. You've got Marlborough, dominated by those alluvial gravel soils laid down by the Wairau River. They drain brilliantly, which stresses the vines just enough to force concentration.
Right.
Then, if you go north to Hawke's Bay, you hit the famous Gimblett Gravels subregion. These are deep gravel beds that soak up the day's heat and then radiate it back slowly at night. That's absolutely vital for getting red varieties like Syrah and Merlot fully ripe.
And way down south, Central Otago feels like a different planet from the North Island sometimes.
It really does. Central Otago is defined by schist and clay soils, often at pretty serious altitudes. Now, schist is this metamorphic rock. It holds some warmth, but it's mineral-rich and makes the vines work hard.
Challenging.
Very challenging.
Yeah.
And that challenge promotes the concentration and that really distinctive minerality you find in their world-class Pinot Noir.
And sort of underpinning all this natural advantage is this massive industry commitment to purity, right? The sources really highlighted the Sustainable Wine Growing NZ program, SWNZ. The coverage is just astonishing.
It's pretty much unprecedented. When nearly 98% of your country's vineyards sign up to a strict sustainability program focusing on biodiversity, minimal intervention.
Yeah.
That's not just greenwashing.
Yeah.
It's fundamental to their identity.
Yeah.
It really backs up that whole pristine image and product.
Okay, let's pivot from the science bit, the foundation, to the actual wine in the bottle. When most people think New Zealand wine, they're probably thinking Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc.
Absolutely, no question. It is the global benchmark. But it's also evolving, which is interesting. The classic style, yeah, it's all about those explosive notes, lime, passion fruit, and that distinctive buxo or boxwood kind of green note.
And the evolution you mentioned, what's changing?
Well, a lot of producers now are really exploring texture and complexity. They're using techniques like barrel fermentation, sometimes labeling the wines as Fumé Blanc.
Ah,
This brings oak into the picture, integrating it, and turns that super crisp, fruity style into something much more layered. Creamier, spicier, definitely more cellar-worthy. It really appeals to serious white wine collectors.
so if you're visiting,
Oh, you have to try and get to Cloudy Bay Vineyards. They really set the standard back in the day. And pairing their Sauvignon Blanc with local Marlborough oysters or green-lipped mussels, that's the iconic taste experience. Can't beat it.
okay, moving on to the red icon then, Pinot Noir, especially from the South Island. Central Otago seems to be ground zero, thriving in those extreme conditions you described.
Yeah, Central Otago is the world's southernmost wine region. And the Pinots are just stunning. They really stand out for this intense purity of fruit and often a really silky texture. And if you connect it back to the terroir,
The schist soils, the altitude.
exactly, that combination really contributes to the intense focus and minerality.
But even within Central Otago, which is pretty small, the subregions show different styles. Why does, say, Bannockburn Pinot taste different from one from Gibbston Valley?
Yeah, the nuances are fascinating, and they link directly back to microclimate and soil specifics. Bannockburn generally sits a bit lower, it's a bit warmer, and often gives you Pinots that are more structured, more powerful, maybe showing darker fruit profiles.
Okay.
Gibbston Valley, on the other hand, is typically the coldest and highest subregion. The vines have to be incredibly resilient, so the wines often come across as more elegant, naturally higher in acidity, and really terroir-driven. Very expressive of place.
Any must-do experiences there for visitors?
Definitely check out the Gibbston Valley Wines Wine Cave Tour. It's actually the largest excavated wine cellar in New Zealand, carved right into the schist. It gives you a real sense of that high-altitude winemaking.
Let's head back north briefly. North Island White's Chardonnay often gets a bit overshadowed by Sauv Blanc, but New Zealand makes some incredible Chardonnay, right?
Oh, absolutely. It shouldn't be overlooked at all. Regions like Gisborne, they call themselves the Chardonnay capital. In Auckland's Kume area are real stars. Kumeo especially has these heavy Tekawata clay soils, and they consistently turn out these sophisticated, sometimes quite opulent Chardonnays. Really complex, age-worthy wines that honestly stand up against the best from anywhere. Shows the versatility of cool climate winemaking.
And finally, for reds on the North Island, it's mainly Syrah and Bordeaux blends centered around Hawke's Bay.
Hawke's Bay is definitely the powerhouse red region, yeah. And within that, Gimblett Gravels is the jewel in the crown. What's really interesting there is how their Syrah style differs from, say, the big, bold Australian Shiraz we might think of.
How so?
The Hawke's Bay style tends towards finesse. You get black pepper spice, often this distinct saline or mineral edge. They're generally more elegant, focusing on aromatic complexity rather than just sheer power or weight.
That contrast is really key, I think. It helps you place them on the world stage. Okay, let's link all this great wine to the actual travel experience. For someone listening who wants that immersive trip, wine, food, culture, what are the regional highlights?
Well, starting north, Hawke's Bay is fantastic for high-end food, luxury lodges. It feels quite sophisticated. And it's incredibly easy to get around. The terrain's pretty flat, so bicycle tours hopping between vineyards are super popular and really manageable.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, you can literally cycle right up to the stunning Craggy Range winery with that amazing view of Tamata Peak behind it.
And if you're starting in Auckland, the biggest city.
Auckland's a great, elegant gateway. And from there, Waiheke Island is just a short ferry ride away. It's essential if you want to explore those top-tier Bordeaux blends we talked about.
Any particular spot?
Definitely try to visit Stony Ridge Vineyard. Their reds are acclaimed, and they do this wonderful Mediterranean-style lunch that's just a perfect fit. Also, for a bit of history back in Hawke's Bay, actually check out Mission Estate Winery. It was founded by French missionaries way back in 1851.
Wow, oldest in NZ.
Oldest operating winery, yeah.
Yeah.
And they offer a pretty special historic dinner experience, too. Worth looking into if that appeals.
Okay, let's cross-cook straight to the South Island. Marlborough, obviously the most famous region.
Marlborough's got that really easy-to-navigate wine route. Again, fantastic for biking. And while, yes, it's the Sauv Blanc capital, visitors should definitely be aware of its growing reputation for really high-quality, Méthode Traditionnelle sparkling
Oh,
wines.
interesting because of the climate.
Exactly. That cool climate is perfect for growing the high-acid Pinot Noir and Chardonnay grapes you need as a base for top-notch fizz.
And then there's Central Otago, where the wine meets epic landscapes and, well, adventure sport.
That's the basic summary. Central Otago is right next door to Queenstown, the adventure capital of NZ, maybe the world. A key foodie destination there is Amasfield Winery.
It makes them special.
They're famous for their Trust the Chef tasting menu. It's all about showcasing local ingredients, beautifully paired with their flagship Pinot Noir. It's a real taste of mountain gastronomy. Highly recommended.
Okay, before we get to logistics, is there maybe one smaller, slightly off the beaten path region, a hidden gem for someone looking to avoid the main crowds?
Yeah, I'd point people towards Nelson. It actually boasts the most sunshine hours in New Zealand. The wines reflect that, often very accessible, maybe a softer style of Pinot Noir, a gentler Sauvignon Blanc.
And the appeal beyond wine.
What makes Nelson really special is its location. It's right next to the stunning Abel Tasman National Park. So you can genuinely spend the morning kayaking or hiking coastal trails and then transition straight into wine tasting in the afternoon. It's a brilliant combo.
That does sound pretty idyllic. Okay, practicalities, logistics. When's the best time for someone to plan this kind of deep dive trip?
Well, it kind of depends what you're after. If you really want to see the wineries buzzing, the production in full swing, feel that harvest energy, then aim for the Vindima, the harvest. That's usually March through April.
Okay.
If your priority is warm weather, sunshine, lots of outdoor activities alongside the wine, then plan for summer, which is December to February down there.
Right.
But honestly, for a great balance, mild temperatures, beautiful autumn colors in the vineyards, autumn, April into May, can be absolutely spectacular.
Good tips. And, crucially, since sampling the wines is, let's face it, a major point of the trip, we absolutely have to mention safety on the roads.
Oh, paramount. Non-negotiable, really.
Yeah.
You must use designated drivers or book onto specialized wine tours. Driving after multiple tastings just isn't an option.
But it's easy to arrange.
Absolutely. The regions are well set up. You've got everything from super luxury lodges, especially in Central Otago, down to charming B&Bs, or even places where you can stay right on the vineyard property itself. Makes it easy to relax and enjoy the tastings responsibly.
Perfect. Okay, we should probably wrap up the main discussion by just nailing down those unforgettable food pairings, the real highlights.
Right. This is where it all comes together, the synergy. Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, it just cries out for those local oysters and green-lipped mussels.
Right.
The acidity just cuts through the richness perfectly.
Classic.
Definitely. Then, if you're exploring Hawke's Bay, tasting those elegant Syrahs or Bordeaux blends from Gimblett Gravels, you absolutely have to try them with New Zealand lamb or maybe some local venison. Beautiful match.
Makes sense.
And for the earthy complexity, the structure of a Central Otago Pinot Noir, it has to be Otago lamb or some of that fantastic high country mountain style cooking they do down there. Really grounding and delicious.
Looking back at everything we've covered, what really strikes me is how New Zealand's whole wine identity seems defined by its pristine environment, that unique UV factor we discussed, and just the resulting balance, that intense fruit married to vibrant acidity.
That pristine balance is the legacy, absolutely. But let me leave you, the listener, with maybe a more provocative thought to chew on. We've talked a lot about how the cool, remote, sometimes quite harsh climate is NZ's greatest asset in wine, right?
Yeah.
Demanding resilience, forcing concentration from the vine.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. Doesn't that geographical isolation, that very stress which forces the grapes to fight for flavor intensity, doesn't it also kind of perfectly mirror the innovative, pioneering spirit the winemakers needed to build this entire industry, essentially from scratch, in such a remote place?
Huh. That's a really interesting parallel. The challenge of the land breeding the innovation in the Willow cellar. I like that.
Exactly. And if you want a taste of that spirit, that complexity and boundary-pushing effort, I'd really recommend you seek out a bottle of Tekoko Sauvignon Blanc. It's usually Cloudy Bay's barrel-fermented version.
Ah, the fumé style we mentioned earlier.
Precisely. It moves way beyond that classic crisp style. It shows the sophisticated texture, the spice, the aging potential that these winemakers are really achieving now. It's a taste of that evolution.
That's a perfect suggestion to finish on. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into New Zealand's really quite extraordinary wine country. Hopefully you feel inspired to start exploring those regions yourself.